Hello dear students, welcome to Chinmoyee's biology channel, and we are going to start again a new episode of food production and management. So this is a very interesting lesson for 8th standard ICSE students, and this is a very big lesson, so I have divided it into many smaller parts. Okay, so you need to watch each and every part in detail to learn this full lesson in a proper manner. So you need to subscribe for that and for the more upcoming videos which are coming on the way. So let's get started with today's episode of food production and management. So in this lesson we are going to learn about agriculture, agricultural tasks and management, about crops grown in India, classification of crops, horticulture and organic farming. So under this agricultural tasks, what we will learn? We will learn about ploughing, we will learn about transplantation and nursery. And under this organic farming, we are going to learn about the advantages and disadvantages of organic farming, right? So there are many more things to learn in this lesson. So to learn more, you need to subscribe to my channel and you need to stay tuned and updated with all the episodes which I'll be posting, because in the next upcoming lessons, episodes we will be posting about the apiculture, pisciculture, animal husbandry and all. And I'll also be posting about all the breeds of animal husbandry and rather microorganisms and all. So these are coming in the next video. So let us start with today's episode of food production and management, and to know more videos you should stay tuned and subscribe to my channel. So let's get started. Now, what is agriculture? The process of raising crops in a field for food and other useful products is called agriculture, right? So it is raising crops in field for in large scale. So it is called agriculture. It is not raising something in your balcony or on your terrace or in your house. It is growing something on large scale. So that is called agriculture. And the term agriculture is derived from the Latin word which means ager, which means field, and cultura, which means to cultivate, right? So cultura means to cultivate and ager means field. Okay, and now this is coming from a Latin word. So let us move on to the agricultural tasks and practices. So what are these agricultural tasks and practices? So first we will know about the agricultural practices. So the various agricultural tasks that a farmer performs for a healthy and a good yield of crops is called the agricultural practices. So any of the agricultural tasks that a farmer is performing for a good yield of crops, that is huge number of crops should be produced in a limited period of time. So for that, what all practices we are taking, they are all called agricultural practices. So first, the soil needs to be prepared. So the preparation of the soil by loosening and turning it is called the tilling or ploughing. So first you should prepare the soil before putting seeds into it, before sowing seeds. So agricultural practices, they need sowing of seeds, then irrigation, then harvesting, and then storage of food. So there are a list of procedures which are being done in a stepwise pattern. So here first is the loosening and the turning of the soil. So this is called tilling or ploughing. So next to which, when the soil is prepared, then the seeds are sown, and where they can get enough air, water, warmth, and they can germinate easily. So like this, after loosening the soil, the seeds are sown, right? So there are certain plants whose seeds cannot be sown directly in fields. So in that case, what is done? The seeds of certain plants such as rice and onion, they are first planted in a seed bed called nursery. So what is a nursery? That is a place, or it's a seed bed where the seeds of these plants are first grown. So when they come to a certain height, then they are taken from the nursery and they are transferred to field. So this process, again, by taking the seedlings from the nursery and transferring it to the field, this process is called transplantation. You all have heard the heart transplantation, liver transplantation, or all, and this is the seedlings transplantation, which is being transplanted from the nursery to the field, right? So this is called transplantation of plants or seedlings. Now, while this growth process, the fields should be regularly watered, they should be regularly cleaned up, and also, therefore, nutrients they are replenished either by natural methods or by we are using certain fertilizers, certain manures to the soil to make it fertile. But during this tenure, during this process, might be some unwanted, wild, uncultivated plants can grow in the soil, so they are called weeds, and they should be removed from a crop field, and this removing of the unwanted weeds is called weeding, right? So this removing of the weeds from the field is called weeding. What are the tools, whatever is used in this form, they are all called agricultural implement. So there are certain tools or machines that are used to carry out various agricultural tasks. So these agricultural tasks, they cannot be all handled by human beings. So there are several agricultural tools which are used in this long procedure of irrigation, harvesting, sowing of the seeds and all. So they are called agricultural implements. So here we have learned many new terms, that is agricultural practices: tilling, ploughing, nursery, transplantation, weeding, and agricultural implements. Is it clear to all? Now we will move on to the next part. So what are the crops grown in India? So there are many domesticated plants like grown in large quantities for food, clothing, medicines, or other purposes. These all are called crops. So we have told it earlier also, they are called crops, and there are 100 different kinds of crops and grown for food alone. So a few types of crops we can make a mention of this. First of all, in crops we can take cereals which we are consuming daily. Then comes pulses or dal, that also we are consuming. So these are the crops which are taken for food. Okay, oil seeds also, from this oil and is extracted. Then root crops are there, that is tuber crops are also there. Sugar crops are there, sugar cane and all are sugar crops, from this sugar is extracted. Plantation crops are there. So what are plantation crops? Coffee, tea, rubber, coconut, these are all called plantation crops. And then comes the fiber crops. So fiber crops, from this fiber crops, jute, cotton and hemp, we are getting our fiber for our we can say that our clothings and all, for our bed sheets, bed covers, whatever clothings and necessary accessories for home is required, that is produced from this fiber crops. Then comes spices. Spices also, they are coming from this crops only, that is cloves, cinnamon, ginger, pepper, turmeric, coriander. So and again next comes timber. So in this timber we can mention like sal, teak, pine and all, from which furnitures are made, right? So there are several types of crops which are produced in India, which have been used in our domesticated we need for our domestic purposes and in our daily needs, right? So there are several medicinal plants also, like tulsi, neem and all. Several other medicinal plants are there, from which several medicines in Ayurvedic medicine are being used. So let us learn a bit about all these plants which are grown in India. So here you see the first diagram what I have taken, that is this picture relates to the cereals. So that is rice, wheat, maize, barley, ragi. These are all our cereals which we are consuming, right? Next comes the oil seeds, that is mustard, groundnut, peanut. All seeds are these are all oil seeds, right? Sunflower oil we get. So flaxseed, pumpkin, walnut, these are all oil seeds plants, right? Then these are root and tuber plants, right? Potato, carrot, turnip, radish, these are all tuber and root crops. Now here comes the plantation crop. Tea and coffee, I have told you tea, coffee, rubber, coconut. I have only shown you the diagram of tea and coffee. So you know rubber, tea, coconut and all is everywhere. We can see those trees also. So these are all plantation crops. Now here comes the spices. So spices, what all we are using in our daily purposes, like cloves, cinnamon, ginger, pepper, turmeric, coriander. So these are all the spices, okay, which we are using in our daily food making. Now here comes the pulses, that is grams, pea, groundnuts, all dals and all are this in this category. So many categories I have taken here in this slide. These are all the pictures of this different types of crops which are grown in India. Now let us see what are the classification of crop of these crop plants. Okay. Now, classification of crops. First, we will say they are food crops and cash crops. So, what are food crops? Food crops are grown for obtaining food, that are cereals, pulses, fruits, vegetables, and all. So, they are all food crops, and some food crops and the nutrients they are obtained from, we have seen in the previous table, all the food crops are there only referred to, other than timber, other than the cash crops and like jute and all, jute and cotton plants, they are not food crops, right? They are all cash crops. So food crops are from where we get our food, we are obtaining our food. And what are cash crops? Cash crops is from where we are obtaining, they are being used for commercial purpose, right? So cash crops are those crops which are used for all commercial purpose to earn the profits. That is, they are cotton, tobacco, sugarcane, tea, coffee, jute, teak, rubber. So these are all examples of cash crops. So just to learn what are food crops and their examples, and what are cash crops and their examples. Now, while all these food crops and cash crops, all cash crops are not food crops. And for example, a farmer can get cash by selling cotton, jute, rubber, but cannot eat them, right? But the main difference between food crops and cash crops, what is that? That we can see that food crops like rice, wheat, maize, millets, barley, they are all food crops, and we are obtaining food from them, whereas from the crops that are grown for commercial purposes, we are obtaining profit from them. Okay, the first difference is we are obtaining food and we are obtaining from that profit. Okay, now the second one is the food crops are edible and the cash crops are non-edible. We are not able to eat cotton, jute and all, right? Now next, you in this difference you are going to give the example in the third point. So in the third point you are going to give examples of food crops and examples of cash crops. So it's done. So let us move on to the next part. On the basis of the growing season, so crop plants can be classified again into two different types. So what are those two types of crops? They are kharif crops and rabi crops. So kharif crops, when they are grown during the monsoon season. So during this season, June to July, these kharif crops are grown and they are harvested or they are cut down during September to October, right? So what are the main kharif crops? So they are maize, right? Millets like jowar and bajra, groundnut, cotton and jute. So these are the main kharif crops. And rabi crops, these crops are generally grown in winter season, that is October to December. They are sown and they are harvested during spring, that is March to April, right? And these are generally examples are wheat, mustard, barley and peas. So previous slide we have studied about cash crop and food crops. Now we are studying about the kharif crops and the rabi crops, right? So now we will move on to horticulture. Now what is horticulture? It is a branch of agriculture which deals with cultivation of fruits, vegetables, flowers, mushrooms and algae and all medicinal plants, right? So it is that all are produced in large scale is called horticulture. Now, what does the term horticulture means? It is if you can divide the word into two parts. Hortus means field and cultura means to cultivate, right? It also includes growing of non-food crops such as ornamental plants, trees, grasses. These are all under horticulture. So in India, Maharashtra is the main fruit producing state which is having 2 million hectares of land. So Maharashtra, what is it having? It is having 2 million hectares. It is having 2 million hectares of land. That is all fruit orchards. Okay, so they are all fruit orchards. 2 million hectare of lands are fruit orchards, and this horticulture, it is a very good commercial industry and it is fetching us multi-million dollars. Okay, so it is a multi-million dollar industry, multi-billion dollar industry. Okay, it is fetching us with a huge amount of money. Now, orchards, these are dedicated areas or gardens where fruits and nut producing trees are cultivated as cash crops. So there are fruits and nut producing trees which are cultivated as cash crops. Now, horticulturalists, what they are doing, they are carrying out research to produce better varieties of fruits, flowers and vegetables in large quantities, right? So they are all under a research program which is helping them to grow good better varieties of fruits, flowers and vegetables. Now after this we'll move on to organic farming. What are biofertilizers? So some bacteria such as azotobacter and rhizobium, they enrich the soil by what? By fixing the atmospheric nitrogen and dissolving the mineral presence in the nutrients present in it. So these microorganisms are cultivated and packed and supplied to farmers for use, right? So these microorganisms, they are only called biofertilizers and they are cultivated, they are packed and supplied to farmers for use. So this rhizobium and azotobacter, they are used as biofertilizers. So these are used as biofertilizers. Okay. Now we will move on to the Now, organic farming, what is it? It is a practice of raising crops without synthetic fertilizers and pesticides. So, this kind of farming is actually very healthy for us. So, organic farming is a practice generally. These farmers, what they are using, they are not using any fertilizers, they are not using any chemicals. So what they are using, they are mainly using the organic manure. So they are trying to use the organic manure and they are also using the livestock excreta. So livestock excreta is also used as a manure. So livestock excreta is also used, and there are certain bioagents which are being used as fertilizers. Okay, no chemicals are being used, and all these preparations which are being used, they have been given a name called biofertilizers. Okay, these are all biofertilizers. Okay, and now minimal use of synthetic pesticides or fertilizers are there. So there are, we can say that organic matter that improves the structure of the soil as well as the water holding capacity of the soil. As a result, healthy plants are grown, and organic farming, they adopt healthy cropping system such as mixed cropping, intercropping and crop rotation. So this in 7th standard, no need to learn this in details. In higher classes you will be studying about what is mixed cropping, what is intercropping and what is crop rotation. So now we are not going to details. In higher class you will be studying that in details. Now let's move on to the advantages and disadvantages of organic farming. So advantages of the organic farming. So what are the advantages? We are making toxin free food. We are making the food which are control pests and weeds. So we can say that the cropping system in organic farming, they can help to control pests, weeds, beside providing only nutrients. They are this cropping system. They are helping us to protect from weeds and pests. It is an environmental friendly method, that is it does not cause any air, water or soil pollution, right? And recycling of the waste is happening in this type of organic farming, because whatever waste is produced in the farm, they are being recycled in the form of manure. So recycling is a very important part of manure formation. So it is being recycled. It maintains the fertility of the soil also. So as no pesticides or fertilizers are added, the fertility of the soil is maintained very nicely. Okay. Now, what are the disadvantages of organic farming? It takes a lot of hard work, and to grow these crops organically, and organic things are very expensive, and it cannot be stored for a long time and cannot be preserved rather. Okay, so they are so expensive, they cannot be preserved also. So these are the advantages and disadvantages of organic farming. So this is all for today's episode. In the next episode, we will be coming back with all the green revolution, white revolution and animal husbandry. So for that, stay tuned, subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to share it with your friends. And till then, goodbye. And please don't skip my lessons, skip my videos, because a full entire episode, there are so many important things which I'll be discussing and I'll be teaching you. So please listen to the full episode from the beginning till the end, and don't forget to subscribe it. Thank you.